Tonight, I have a very special guest. This guy has been part of my musical circle for a couple of years now. Very important influence for our scene here in San Francisco, not only of Brazilian music, but also Latin influenced American. We're talking about Quetzal Guerrero, aka QVLN, modern root sound, musical extension of his American, Mexican, and Brazilian heritage. Gifted multi-instrumentalist and performer, Q expresses his passions for love, life, and dance with his voice, violin, guitar, and percussion, overflowing with creative and cultural curiosity. You should have it too. Q is on the road about 200 days per year, so you can imagine how the pandemic caused him a little something there. His dedication to bringing live music to often neglected communities hasn't gone unnoticed. In 2015, Q had the honor of representing the United States as part of the State Department's American Music Abroad program, in conjunction with longtime collaborator Ovius and a talented group of musicians who reside in Los Angeles. QVLN is also an accomplished dancer and capoeirista. With a full calendar of shows and musical collaborations slated to release this year, Q represents the best of the independent artistic spirit that makes him a world cultural bridge, fellas, between countries and people. We'll be talking live with this multicultural bridge and all that good stuff. Before we go there, I would like to share a video that shows a bit of his Brazilian roots. This is called The City of Recife, Quetzal Guerrero and Wink.
Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite. This is Wink, here with Quetzal Guerrero.
Fala, Wink.
Here to talk about a city. É a cidade de Recife.
A cidade de Recife.
Vamos lá, galera. Welcome, people, I'd like to invite you along. My name is Wink, I'll be your tour guide for the rest of the song. Reporting live from Brazil, not too many know about this place, this ain't São Paulo or Rio. So, come along, but don't get caught off guard. Always stay on your toes, the city can be hard. You gotta learn the do's and don'ts, but don't live in fear. Chama a rapaziada, let's go out and get us a beer.
Quero agradecer todo o meu povo que vem de lá, que não deixa de viver, amar e festejar. Essa cidade que tem tudo do meu coração, minhas raízes nordestinas, puro sangue. I love the city of Recife. I love the city of Recife. I love the city of Recife. I love the city of Recife.
The weather don't change much, it's rain or shine. And it's hard to learn the language, so just take your time. In the beginning, speak the basics like eu não sei. Next thing you know, you're speaking slang like e aí, meu véi. Tá tudo massa aí, beleza? Então vai lá na fé. Listen to music all night, then hit the beach all day. But beware of the sharks, don't go out too far. I love this city, Recife lives inside of my heart.
Essa cidade que eu nunca vou esquecer. Boa viagem até o alto da Sé. Forró, frango, maracatu e aboxé. Quero ouvir todo mundo dizer I love the city of Recife. I love the city of Recife. I love the city of Recife. I love the city of
Shout out to all my
Recife.
people all around the city.
Casa Forte, Poço da Panela, abraço lá pra Torre e Casa Amarela. Vai pro Afogados e a Ilha do Retiro, outro pro Rosarinho, sob a Zé do Brinho. Boa Vista, boa viagem, bola na rede e Piedade, Cidade Alta, Bairro Novo, Maria Farinha. Salve, salve Janga e o resto de Olinda. Vai ser Caxangá, cidade universitária, e toda a galera que mora por lá na área. Espinheiro, Graças e Panamirim, Apipucos, dois irmãos and everything that's in between.
Recife. I love the city of Recife.
Fazendo conexão
I
geral.
love the city,
LA, Recife,
the city of Recife.
California,
I
Pernambuco,
love the city of Recife.
US of A,
I
Brasil.
love the city of Recife.
I love this city.
Yes, peoples. The city of Recife. E aí, Quetzal? How are you, man?
Tudo bem aqui. Everything is beautiful and feeling good, brother. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. So fun. We got Tess Zerda here with us, also already dancing. There she is. And tell me one thing: are you in Bali right now? Is that what's going on?
Yes, we are currently in Bali celebrating our 5-year anniversary today.
Oh, nice. Very well.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to you in sunshine.
Thank you very much.
And we last time we talked, it was right the beginning of the pandemic, and we were going through a lot of questions in our minds, how we would adapt, what would happen. You know, we canceled shows. We were about to do something together. We had to do like an off backstage meeting about all that good stuff. And from that point on, what I noticed is like a lot of people went into the direction of like self-knowledge and, you know, dive into activities that can keep your mind afloat and get a better self out of this craziness. And other people that just suffered, that, you know, got hit hard financially, economically, got stuck, got depressed. And how was it for you? Where were you when you had to decide to go someplace? How was that beginning for you there?
Yeah, it's been quite a wild ride this past year. You know, we had a show scheduled together at the new parish in Oakland the day of the lockdown, the official pandemic in San Francisco, which was last year, in March of last year, right? So it's kind of crazy to see how much and what a full circle journey this has been, you know. So it was a lot of adjusting and trying to figure out what exactly we're going to do. My wife and I had been living in Australia for 4 years prior to the pandemic. We happened to be in the States together. I was doing performances and visiting family, same with her. And we got stuck in the States. You know, we couldn't leave. We couldn't go back home to Australia. So we did the best we could. We floated around between my in-laws' family's place in San Francisco and my parents' place, who live in Phoenix. And it was a good opportunity for us to spend time with our family, to take care of our family, obviously be mindful about exposure, but also be there as support for our elders, you know. So it was a really important time for us to spend with our loved ones, to kind of strengthen those ties, strengthen those bonds. And while all of that was going on, there was a lot of opportunities to move into the virtual world, like how we're doing now. You know, I started getting a lot of requests to do Zoom performances and Facebook Live performances. My first time doing IG Live performances, you know, kind of was born out of this whole lockdown situation. And it gave me a lot of opportunities to get more into production mode. I was getting requested by a lot of colleagues and friends, such as yourself and Dona Francisca, to record and to do collaborations, which I'm still in the process of doing. You know, I mean, now I have a list of people who have been hitting me up to do recording. So it turned out that the lack of touring and performing on the road transferred over to production and composition and collaboration, which is a really cool thing. It was a beautiful thing because a lot of my friends and artists who are normally always on the road performing, who don't have the time to kind of get in the studio or have talked about collaborating, started to reach out and really started to branch out virtually to the wider network of artists and colleagues, you know. So it's been a really interesting time. We're very grateful for not having to bear the brunt of a lot of the economic downturn of what this has happened. Or obviously, like, I have a lot of friends who are going through hard times, tough times financially, either their business shutting down or all of their work, you know, drying up, and people getting, you know, claustrophobic, having to stay home. You know what I mean? So after this last year of kind of being in between San Francisco and Arizona and sheltering in place, we decided it was time to try to make a move to get back to Australia. So that's why we're here in Bali now.
Nice. You're like kind of halfway, right? you,
Yeah.
but you went to Mexico a little bit too, no?
Yes, we had the chance. We got offered an artist in residency at an eco resort in Tulum, Mexico. So we got to spend about a month and a half there. That was the first kind of set of live performances that I've had a chance to do since the pandemic. So it was all the businesses in Tulum right now are operating at half capacity. There's a lot of protocols there for testing and for temperature checks and all those kind of things. So we felt safe enough to kind of take advantage of that opportunity to reconnect with some of our friends and artists down there and to start to perform live again. And that was a really good feeling after a whole year of not being able to do what, you know, we've been doing forever.
Yeah.
To kind of be able to start getting back into that was a really good feeling. It was a beautiful experience, and we're also bringing that same kind of energy and spirit here to Bali now. Bali is almost going to start reopening, I think, starting next month. So it's been a process just for us to get here, you know, between quarantining and testing and flights and all that kind of thing. It was an extreme journey, but we made it here safe and sound. We've been able to reconnect with some longtime friends here, and we're going to start also offering some live performances in Bali as well.
That's cool, man. And besides the dedication to music, to producing, there's the activism side of things, which, you know, we amongst the interesting things we did during the pandemic, one of them was voting for president, which, you know, thankfully the turnout, you know, changed the scenario, and now we're really seeing the outcome and the results of the action of the new president and the vice president, and based on, you know, science, facts, and strategy to vaccinate people and to really be on the side of, like, let's get this going and let's stop neglecting. And you were part of really interesting projects along the way. I want to show a few videos during the show here. One of them is called "If I Was President." It's a original song from Las Cafeteras from East LA. Tell me a little bit about Las Cafeteras and how you got involved in this music video, and what a role this video played in, you know, shifting some votes there during the election.
Yes, well, Las Cafeteras is a really well-known, popular group based out of East LA. They started it as a politically active club in college. They all got together for protests and for political rallies, and started to play son jarocho music, which is traditional folkloric music from Veracruz, Mexico. as a way of reconnecting back to their roots, kind of like us with our Pojeta Forró, movement. And through their music, they started to reach a broader audience to the point where they had a few very successful viral videos, and their music career exploded from that point on. I had the opportunity to meet them on many occasions at different festivals and venues in LA. And we built a relationship through a tour that we did together, myself with Orquesta Mendoza and Las Cafeteras. We did a tour as part of Global Fest a few years back. And it was during that time together that we really got to bond and connect and find that we had a lot of similar social, political, beliefs. And we also were in alignment in our activism as artists. So they had the opportunity to get some political funding to create this video remix of the original song called If I Was President, where they featured different artists from swing states. So myself, I'm from Arizona, based out of Arizona originally. So Arizona has been a red Republican state ever since I can remember. So they reached out to myself and another rapper from Phoenix named Mega Ram. They reached out to some female MC rappers from Detroit, from Atlanta, and which are also swing states, right? Georgia and Michigan. And we put together this remix of this song, If I Was President, in order to kind of activate these swing states and activate the artistic communities and the youth in these places to get out there and vote. And it really made a difference, because Arizona, for the first time in history, is a democratic state now.
Dude,
as well as
I was like
and activism
eating my nails here during that election result night, and man, so happy to be in California now and to just see how things are rolling, and really glad to be here, man. Let's go check it out. If I Was President with Las Cafeteras and remix with artists from all kinds of paths of life, man. Check this out.
Si fuera presidente, si fuera presidente, if I was a president, if I was a president, si fuera presidente. Here we go.
Let me be the chief executive and settle the score. Stop working people till they raggedy, then asking for more. Open doors, cut the pipeline to prison that's been stealing our men. Educate the whole nation about the skin that I'm in. Black woman, stay safe and watch me do it again. Clear the cash, put the cash where it's evidently necessary. More than fried food and booze, open some libraries. Stand with my fellow man.
If I was commander-in-chief, I'd preach peace. A college education would be free. I'd close the wage gap and pay back indigenous peeps, and cops would have to live in the streets they policed. Teachers' salaries would be like NBA players. Social workers and physicians getting great favor. Raise minimum wage, no more slave labor. And federal officials can't be good traders. Nah.
If I was a president, si fuera presidente. If I was a president, if I was a president, si fuera presidente.
If they ain't good, then what are we? Not just who we claim to be. Yeah, we hiding under sheets. Honesty, integrity, that's what a leader breeds. Pull up the roots of this truth, put down some new seeds. A free Mia and my people shut down fighting for freedom. Dismantle the message that make you think it's cool to tell a woman about her body and what she can and can't do. Break the glass ceiling and shine through.
A fair and balanced legislation. I'm instituting automatic voter registration. Next, I'm on the move, reversing mass incarceration. Putting more funding into rehabilitation. Expunging low-level drug offenses. Opening the cages and tearing down the fences. Ensuring that no person ever be illegal. And then I step down and give the power to the people.
No more war, no more fear. It's time to thrive, the change is near, yeah, yeah. Me gusta la lima, me gusta limón, pero no me gusta tanta corrupción.
My first lady would beat my mom, cause she'd smack me in the head if I was dropping bombs. Free my poor black and brown kids in them cages. Then go to Congress, raise all the wages. Finally buy a car, all cash, no lease. Then I to the mayors. Universal healthcare, no hesitation. Then I tax the 1% new age plantation.
If I was a president, si fuera presidente, if I was a president.
brave instead of stolen ground built by the hand of enslaved. And if the justice system worked on behalf of the people, then maybe my leadership could create the future we crave. I'ma let the money talk, yeah, the reparations do. Let's rebuild the wealth and see what the next generations do. Funnel the resources to places the government orphan and criminalize their offspring for the hell. Their baby faces grow up, try give them access to education and excess. Redistribute the equity so the working people checks less. Qualified immunity, abolish all them dirty politicians, lawyers, cops who can handle. Let's address this. Liberate the freedom fighters in the private prison game. Grant the native nations sacred space on sovereign terrain. Get the people healthy food, clean water, hold the ice, and see what's possible when you let the poppers ponder over hope. It's like rock.
Well, we're still not the president, but we can vote right. We can make a difference. It feels good, man. Thanks for being part of that, and I'll be definitely checking out more of Las Cafeteras. I want to ask you about, you know a lot of artists that have been struggling, and one of the questions raised was how to make money in music nowadays, because selling music online wasn't easy already. We had performing, and then performing was removed from the equation. How have you addressed that for yourself, and how do you think folks can try to grab a slice of the pie there in other fields of the spectrum?
Ooh, that is a very complex question right there, because every one of my friends have been adapting to it differently, right? I think that the benefits of being an independent artist and my own kind of boss like me is that I've built my own brand over the years. And because of that, I don't depend on other bands or other artists to hire me to be a part of their band, right? So I've seen that a lot of musicians for hire, or people who are like more side kind of musicians for different projects, they're suffering right now because they are, a lot of them, I've had friends who are now, driving delivery trucks for Amazon, you know what I mean? And they'd have to go to just getting a regular job because there's no gigs for them. Again, I'm being fortunate enough to being my own leader and having experience as a solo performer. It has been an easier transition for me to do live solo performances online, right? So having that experience and that ability has helped me tremendously during these times, because the gigs are all socially distanced. I did my first public performance last year in October at the Desert Botanical Garden in Phoenix. And it was specifically had to be a solo performance, and everything was socially distanced. The audience was very limited. They split the concert schedule into two parts so they could have half the audience during one half and half the audience in the other half. They distanced everything out. So thankfully, I have the experience and the confidence to be able to put together a solo one-man show. But for a lot of musicians that don't have that ability or experience, it's been a tough ride for them, so it's been a combination of having a bit of financial independence and being very mindful about my spending throughout this year, as well as having a large social support community of people who are reaching out, whether it be through online performances and donations. I think Bandcamp has been a huge help for myself, including a lot of my independent artists today, because Bandcamp has been doing First Fridays 100% of proceeds go to the artist. If you guys don't know about Bandcamp, please go and sign up today. It is the best way to support artists on virtually on the digital platform, hands down. Every first Friday, they give 100% of download proceeds to the artist, and you can pay whatever you want. And that has been a huge asset for me, because when I've done these exclusive download releases through Bandcamp, sometimes people have given me $20 for one song. You know, I have a friend who gave me $40 for one song. You know what I mean? So depending on your social network and your support, that is a means of income that is not really available through any other digital music platform. You know, so there have been different avenues that people have been doing. For me personally, this year, I've also gotten commissioned to compose and write music for a musical theater piece. So that is something that has grant money that's over a 3-year period of completion. So that has helped to kind of secure a little bit more financial stability for me. Because even though I have been doing online gigs, and even though I have been getting online downloads through places like Bandcamp, it's still very few and far in between compared to before the pandemic. Right. So, you know, everybody's just kind of trying their best to make do with what the situation is. You know, some people that I know are thriving right now because they were prepared to adapt, or they had the means to adapt in a way that they could take advantage of this new kind of virtual stage that we're all a part of now. And some people who were too attached to that old kind of paradigm, you know, it's been difficult for them. You know what I mean? Luckily, I was kind of somewhere in between, you know what I mean, where I was able to kind of adapt to virtual. I was able to perform solo. I was able to kind of reach out to my network of supporters, and I've been okay. You know what I mean?
Nice, man.
Not to say that it hasn't been difficult, but it has been tough. You know.
And you mentioned like just building the brand and working on your identity and your story. It's really amazing, and I want to revisit a little bit of that. During your the intro, we mentioned your Brazilian heritage, your Mexican heritage, and your American heritage. In a nutshell, can you share with us how that came to be, and how were you able to equalize all this different cultural backgrounds into the music you make today?
Yeah, well, that has a lot to do with my parents, right? My mother is from Recife, Pernambuco, Brazil. She met my father in Mexico, in Cuernavaca. So that's why my name is Quetzal. I have a Nahuatl or Mesoamerican name, as well as my brother and sister. We all have names that come from Central America. And that was kind of to pay homage to my father's ancestry, who is Mexican-American, Chicano, indigenous, Nicantlaca, as they like to say. So they raised all of us with a lot of music, a lot of art. My mother is a classically trained pianist. She plays sanfona, she plays violon,
Nice.
She plays vibraphones. She's the one who taught me how to play bossa nova. She's the one who taught me to play frevo, forró as a little kid. You know, so she was kind of like my musical and cultural inheritance to Brazil. You know, and I had a lot of opportunities to go and travel to Brazil and to study music, to study capoeira, to study the art forms. And it was a big part of my identity, especially growing up in the States. It was something that because I had connected to it so early on in my childhood, I could really feel confident and feel like I could represent it in a way that was authentic and sincere, you know. And same on the side of my father. You know, my father's also a musician. They're both politically active. They're both music arts educators. So it was really part of my environment to be raised with sharing music and arts with my greater community, uh, being parts of cultural arts festivals, being part of carnaval parties, being part of capoeira batizados, you know. So for me, my whole journey musically has been a way of like bringing all those influences together and presenting it in a way that I connect with and that I feel proud about, that I feel, you know, emboldened and impassioned to share with my community. And that's one of the reasons why me and you connected, Paulo. You know, I mean, I happen to be a Burning Man performing on a stage that you
Good
were
story.
stage producers for, and I was playing a bunch of different music that I felt like represented my voice as an artist, and I happened to play a song by Mestre Ambrosio from Recife. You know, there was a forró tune on the Habeca.
Dude, I
You know
jumped
what I
off
mean?
my chair.
Yeah, and so immediately that's how we connected, and that's how you again opened the invitation to be a part of your Pojeta community and your Pojeta family, which has been slowly and steadily growing every year, you know, and you are one of those prime examples of my greater community of artists and like-minded individuals who have been able to support me in my journey, and the support is mutual, right? We're here sharing this together. Estamos juntos
Tamo junto, rapaz.
100%.
Yeah, and I've been
24
following
horas.
your musical journey and revisiting the stuff you did in the past. Like I really liked Coisa Boa and all the you know when you were still like looking for the main instrument. Am I gonna be a frontman guitar player? Am I gonna embrace my violin? And independently all the way. But then during the warm up for the show here, we were talking about your most viral video because as an independent guy, you don't have a lot of money to put on as investment to push to promote. You do your thing
Yes.
and you build. But then you were part of this project. It's part of the new Georgia project, and it's called Georgia on My Mind. It's kind of a remix. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that exploded?
Yeah, so this video and this project is another collaboration with Las Cafeteras. And Las Cafeteras got some political funding as part of the New Georgia Project to create content that was going to be able to engage the Latino community in Georgia, right? So they reached out to Las Cafeteras reached out to myself and Orquesta Mendoza to create a cumbia trap version of the Georgia classic, Georgia on My Mind, with the intention of activating young Black and Brown communities to again, show up at the polls and to really help swing the state to a political, position that was more inclusive to everyone, right? Because it doesn't matter what your political stance is about Democrat or Republican. The bottom line is that conservative Republicans are based in white supremacy. They're based in oppressing and suppressing certain communities. That is the reality of the situation. Regardless of how you feel about Democrats or Republicans or where you are on the scope, those are facts. You know what I mean? So we wanted to just create something that was going to help to activate those communities and get them out there to vote. Doesn't matter how they voted. It's just all about getting people activated. And it worked. It was a success. It became, because it had a lot of that funding and support through these political organizations behind it. It has been my most successful video release to date. CNN reposted it, MSNBC reposted it. My hero Bernie Sanders reposted it.
Yeah,
which was
the kids go nuts.
Right? Yeah.
Let's hit the video, man. My assistant needs a.
Georgia, Georgia, the sound of you. I said Georgia, Georgia on my mind. Georgia, Georgia, the whole day. I said Georgia, Georgia on my mind. Georgia on my mind.
Vámonos mi gente, vamos a gozar, vámonos mi raza, vamos a ganar, vámonos mi gente, vamos a gozar, vámonos mi raza, vamos a ganar.
Georgia, Georgia, the sound of you. I said Georgia, keeping Georgia on my mind. I said Georgia, Georgia, the whole day. Even Georgia, Georgia's on my mind.
Yo, Georgia en mi mente, Georgia para la gente, aquí está presente, listo para gozar. Vámonos para allá, vamos a votar. Que sigue la lucha, dale ponte trucha. Que sigue la lucha, dale ponte trucha. Que sigue la lucha, dale ponte trucha.
Man, this is cool. And who did your hair on this clip, man? It's
Yeah,
your capoeira
yeah. One of
teacher.
my
is,
sisters who I
okay.
with for many years, she does hair. So she was the one who did my braids for me.
Nice, good, nice braids there. And speaking of braids and las cafeteras, how did you end up in LA? Was your story also one of those? Man, it's time for me to move to the big city and try to make it. Tell us a little bit of that transition from Arizona to LA.
Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You know, I had grew up in Phoenix and was performing and playing all over Phoenix for many years, but there wasn't a lot of support for independent artists there. There weren't a lot of the music and art scene in Phoenix is only now becoming, you know, kind of in a place where people are getting recognized there internationally, right? Before, it was very small town mentality and options were very limited as to what you could do, you know, and LA is only half a day's drive from Phoenix, right? So I just started taking trips out there and meeting people and making friends. And I quickly saw that this was a place that I needed to go in order to kind of take my artistry and my career to the next level, right? Because people from all over the world were doing the same thing, not only just from the country, but all over the world. So as soon as I moved to LA, I was getting all kinds of opportunities that I would have never had in Phoenix, just with learning, right? There was so many world-class musicians there that I had the opportunity to learn from, to perform with, to collaborate with. So it really helped to elevate my game, to step up my my profession, to kind of gain more experience and skills there. There was, you know, endless venues to perform at in LA. There was endless bands and music scenes that you could get into. There was, you know, record labels and major label artists there that I had the opportunity to perform with and to meet, you know. So that was probably the best decision I could make for myself at that time, and my journey was to move to LA.
That's cool, man. And were you like hit by labels with contracts and staying independent? Was that an option you made from the beginning, or is that something that you felt like, you know, I have this lifestyle of traveling around the world 200 days a year. I don't know if I'll be able to conform to a contract.
Well, I quickly started to see kind of the dark side of where the major music industry was at those times. You know, I was meeting artists who were signed to major labels who were getting shelved. You know, their projects were not being released or were being suppressed. You know, I started to get asked to be part of like boy bands, like pop groups, where I would not have any creative control or influence on the direction of where these bands went. You know, I was kind of quickly seeing that illusion or delusion of being part of the major record and music industry wasn't all that it's cracked up to be. I got introduced to a book called All You Need to Know About the Music Industry that was really popular amongst musician circles, that really taught me about the exploitation that artists were facing as part of the music industry. And it really turned me off. And the fact that my music is very international, is very global, has a lot of influences, major labels were not interested in signing me as my own project and as my own artist, right? I've done a lot of releases and a lot of work with independent labels. My first label was Yoruba Records, which is a very well-known underground music label. And they were fully supporting of me expressing myself artistically in however way I wanted. But the trade-off was they didn't have all of the distribution and promotional channels that a major music industry label has, right? So I kind of stayed true to where I wanted my music to be and how I felt like I wanted to be represented. And that's what kept me in this independent kind of, realm. And it's been a beautiful journey. You know, I don't feel like I've limited myself, or maybe I've depleted my career potential. If anything, I feel like it's been even more of a character kind of spiritual development journey for me, because I don't have this huge facade of me being promoted and idolized and propagated like some of these major label artists are, you know. And you can see how that quickly spirals down into self-destructive tendencies, you know. And it's not really, for me, I see it now in hindsight, is not the healthiest and not the most wise choice of an artist who's really wants to practice what they preach, as far as like create their own music, be their own songwriters, mix and bridge together any kind of cultural or musical influence. You don't see major artists doing that. You know, you don't see major label artists doing that. It's very, very formulaic. It's very controlled, contrived, and institutionalized. The way that major label artists are not only produced and marketed, but the way their music sounds, you know? So you know, it's like, for me, I think that maybe eventually, if I was to get the opportunity to work as a with a major label, it'd have to be on my terms, and it'd have to be with my full confidence and awareness behind, you know, what that entails. And a lot of times, music artists, major label artists, will tell you after the fact, like, I didn't know what I was signing. You know, I didn't make the money I should have made. I didn't get the rights that I should have right. I mean, I hear it. You hear it over and over and over and over again, and it's like, it's part of how the industry works, is
Dude,
through the exploitation.
this is so refreshing to hear, because not only you were able to link your musical journey to your spiritual journey, and the role you play in this incarnation with your community, with your cultural roots. The pandemic has proven that you staying independent and building your brand and yourself as an artist that can, you know, grab different opportunities around the world has helped you so much. And it's really an example for me, and thanks for sharing. And I hope that folks that are listening to this, even right now or tomorrow or one day, that they, you know, find courage in your words and insist that they can accomplish their ideas and their music, and really put that out there and live by it. Speaking of, you know, living by it and sticking to the roots, we have another video here to kind of, before we close the show. And this is Early in the Morning from the latest record of Orquestra Mendoza, Curandero. Well, first, you and Sergio from Orquestra Mendoza, you've been friends since you were little kids, but then you went different ways, and a few years back, you kind of rejoined him with Orquestra Mendoza. Tell us a little bit of that story, on how you ended up back in Orquestra Mendoza with Sergio, and where you guys going now.
All right. So Orquestra Mendoza is led by Sergio Mendoza. They're based out of Tucson, Arizona. And Sergio Mendoza and I have been friends since we were preteens, since we were 11, 12 years old. He's a very, very talented multi-instrumentalist. And when we met as kids, we immediately connected through our music. We started playing together. I had a band in junior high and high school called Gato Loco, which Sergio was a part of.
That's
we
nice.
Together all over Arizona and different events. And shortly afterwards, we kind of went our separate ways, because he was based in Tucson and I was based in Phoenix. So we were kind of far apart from each other. And so I moved to LA. He continued his career in Tucson, started his band, Orquestra Mendoza, and made a lot of waves in the Tucson music scene and internationally. He works with bands like Calexico, Devajka, Mexracy, and Mexican Institute of Sound. And so many years had gone by. We had both kind of we would keep in touch and support each other's careers and kind of keep tabs on what we were doing and hang out. But we never had our paths didn't cross in a way that we could kind of rejoin until about a few years ago, when the frontman of his band decided to step down from the group. Right around that time, we had reconnected. We happened to be in LA at around the same time. And he had told me about the fact that he was looking for somebody to be a frontman for his band. And he had kind of maybe half jokingly asked me, like, hey, would you be interested in being part of my group? And I didn't hesitate. You know, I loved all the music that he was doing. I loved working with him for all those years, and our friendship and respect was very, very, very high for one another. So I jumped at the opportunity to begin collaborating with him. And it was actually through Orquestra Mendoza that I was able to connect with Las Cafeteras, like I had mentioned before. And so it led to so many beautiful things, a lot of what you guys have witnessed today. And we also ended up writing an entire album together all last year. and previous years called Curandero. So this song and video is called Early in the Morning. It's one of the single releases from that album.
Let's watch it. I love the videos because you guys stick with the most incredible outfits out of like complete Chicano culture and well, whoever designed the stripes, man, congratulations. It's just amazing. And we're close to the end of the show here. Quetzal, muchas gracias. Obrigado, irmão. Before we go, I would like to ask you, as I know you're a very positive thinking brother, where do you see our industry going? Like, we as independent producer, independent artists, people that build audience on a daily basis, we deal tete a tete every day with our audience, and we talk to them, we stay true to ourselves, and we write the music we love and we want to put out there. Where do you see that going post pandemic?
It's really up to, I think, what happens. We don't know when this pandemic is going to end right now, right? We're still, all of us have been desperately waiting to see what level of normal is going to return, right? Some people say that it's never going to return back to how it was before. Other people are hoping and putting all their hopes on the fact that it will, right? So I think it's very up to what actually happens. You know, one of the upsides about this whole situation is I think the appreciation for live performance now is at an all-time high, is at a place where it hasn't been in years. And I see that with a lot of these socially distanced concerts now that are going on, where people who maybe had taken, they could go see a band or live music performance every weekend or whenever they wanted to, are now lining up and buying and paying a lot higher ticket prices to have a more intimate and inclusive kind of experience. And I think in the long run, that's good for us if and when, you know, things open back up again and we're able to start performing on a regular basis. You know, I think that this has been a huge social experiment into what people are willing to tolerate and what people are willing to do in order to adapt. You know, and I've seen, like I said earlier, I've seen a lot of artists who have been going through really tough time right now through this whole situation, and artists who are thriving right now in this situation. So there's going to be a bit of good and bad things that are going to continue going on with the art scene. You know, I think that platforms such as Bandcamp.com that I've mentioned earlier, I think they saw how successful their business model of actually giving all, you know, profits to the artists for once was actually beneficial for them. It really helped to raise their profile. And so I think that as people grow more socially and ecologically and culturally aware of where the world is now, they're going to be a bit more mindful about where they spend their money, what they choose. I mean, it's already happening when it comes to like things like, you know, plant-based diets or organic foods, you know, or locally sourced, independent, you know, grown. Like people are kind of moving towards that direction because they are seeing the benefits of how it helps their communities and the greater communities abroad. So I think that we have to, as independent artists, continue forging ahead and promoting that culture, that identity of like support your local artists, support independent artists, you know, support businesses that are, you know, local or that are small business, you know, or that are businesses that are, you know, ethically run. You know what I'm saying? Like these are all things that we have to start mindfully and meaningfully choosing to put our money into and investing into. And I think that it's happening, you know, slowly but surely.
Yeah, bro. Word. Quetzal. Thank you again, my brother. Happy anniversary for you and Sunshine. Thanks for sharing your time with us today. And I hope you guys have a great day and you get to celebrate the love and union you guys have show to yourselves and to the world. Miss you, brother. And I can't wait to see you on this side of the world one more time, man. I will end the show playing a little something here that it's the all-time favorite of the Brazilian community. But this one, amigos, it's from American Import, Burning Fire. I will see you later, my man.
Take away my flashlight, draw me out of wounds, so I ain't gotta feel all the pain.
Everybody,
won't leave me alone.
this was Quetzal Guerrero. You hear the man.
So I ain't gotta feel all the pain that just won't leave me alone.
Fight locally.
Can't you see?
Support.
Every part of my desire.
Act.
And
Vote
I'm
right.
left with nothing. I'm a smoldering fire.
That's it.